Morning. It's a very, very, very rainy book club day. Oh my. Rainy book. May I have the milk and accoutrement of making coffee? Oh, we did buy half and half yesterday, didn't we? Oh, yeah, that's right. I don't need this one. Got you. Need the milk. Thank you. This one's half and half. Thank you. I'm stuck in training, so I won't hear you long. I just wanted to say hi. Oh, hi. Hello.
Train. I guess we can put this thing back down.
I guess so. Wah, wah. We pruned our dill yesterday. It was a little out of control. Leaves a little out of control.
We hung it up in the whole time of year where it isn't dry.
I know, right?
It's sitting there collecting moisture.
Yeah.
You know what?
Huh.
You should use a dehydrate setting on this phone.
Oh, yeah, probably. You can look up how to do that. You got a new phone. Oh, yay. And it tells you notifications. Oh, that's exciting. That's very good. Morning, Claire. We must have brought the rain to you. Yeah, you're not that far. I pre-ordered a book in April last year and totally forgot about it, but it's on the way now. That's funny. Which book? Well, it's pretty funny.
What do you think are,
Or what?
things?
Oh, let me look in the thing here and see if it's down below me. It is. Okay, go. Perfetto. Huh? Just didn't get rinsed out completely, I guess. Did you... Oh, not yet, Mary. It's called If I Only Had Told Her. Oh, wow. Sounds like an NSYNC lyric.
I only had what?
Told Her. There's a song that NSYNC has called, like If Only She Knew or something like that. Something like that. What? I didn't hear what you said.
That sounds
Something like that. Ah! You sprayed me!
Sorry.
Why?
Oh, monster.
Why you spray me with the water on this cold monster day?
Accident?
Oh, okay. I'll accept an accident. Morning, Becca. JT ruined NSYNC for me. Yeah, but you can't let the other guy suffer for his misgivings.
What did JT do?
He was a jerkwad.
What did he do?
Remember, you were here.
Oh,
when we
Justin
read-
Timberlake. I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I don't.
And then, you know, did you hear what he did recently? At a concert, he went on and was gonna start singing Cry Me a River. And instead of being like nice about it, he was like, I won't apologize for what I've done, and then sang that song. Everyone's like, oh, well then maybe we should just not a nice person. Like,
No, I mean, like, it's pretty irrelevant. Right? So it's just, he doesn't probably the same thing and get relevance. Like,
Yeah, maybe.
say stuff like that.
yeah, he's throwing a temper tantrum. Man, he sure frickin' is. He sure. What did he do? I missed so, Alyssa, you gotta read Brittany's book and then also do research in Janet Jackson and a couple of other things. It is so much milk. We're a big milk family. We are not a plant milk family. We are a cow milk family, and we have it in all forms. We are, aren't we? Yes. We are a cow milk family in all forms. Moo cows. I am almost single-handedly keeping the dairy industry in business. I'm a plant milk person. What?
It's a pure coffee, really.
Yeah, but I would also drink. I mean, I have I use regular milk in everything. in like cereal, in cooking.
When's the last time you had a bowl of cereal? I don't know if I've ever seen you eat a bowl of cereal.
Well, I have cereal over there, and every time I go look that I think I'm gonna have it, I'm not hungry. Lactose intolerant, almost the only way. Oh yeah. Does that mug say? The mug, yes. I will show you what the mug says. Hold on one moment, please. The mug says, "Thank you for being my uncle. If I had a different uncle, I would punch him in the face and go find you." It was a Christmas present from Secret Boyfriend's oldest niece to him that she bought with money that she earned herself. So it is a very, very good present, and she does not want another uncle. She only wants him. Yes. Well, yeah, I guess. No, doesn't she have one on her mom's side? I thought they mentioned someone. No, her mom doesn't have a brother? Yeah, no, I know that. I was talking about her mom. No, okay, just kidding. He's her only uncle, but she doesn't want another one. My bonus daughter bought a similar cup, but dad instead of uncle. That's very cute. Very cute. All right, here you go. Your Uncle Cup. Good job being a good uncle. You did it. Congrats. What? You won by default? No, I think she loves being a uncle. Really? It was a something up. I think we should all have breakfast on the back of that milk. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. My niece got me one of those that says aunt. She does have other aunts. Hey, see, that's a win. I'm waiting for Zoe to buy me one, even though she does have lots of other aunts. Zoe has a lot of aunts and a lot of uncles. So when Zoe gets us those presents, we'll know that it is very...
If we don't get that one,
I will be extremely upset.
Devastated.
I don't know what I'll do if Zoe picks another aunt as her favorite aunt. I'll have a mental breakdown.
What? Let's not do that.
What am I gonna do if she picks someone else as her favorite aunt?
Go talk to her.
I put all the effort into this child.
I'm gonna go talk to her.
You're gonna go talk to her? What are you gonna say?
Like,
Effing get it together and buy her a present that says she's your
Like,
favorite aunt, kid. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no. I've been working really hard for favorite aunt status, and I've told her other aunts, sorry, you've already lost. Yeah. There's no... I think you are, Cindy. I think you are. How could she pick anyone else till she... Yeah, seriously. Well, but that's fine. She can get a tattoo from Rowan, but nothing else. Arbitrary Canary said, how could she pick another favorite aunt until she's ready to get a tattoo? And then she'll have to talk to, yeah, not the one that produced the boring kids. No, but Rowan does, Rowan is cool. Rowan is a cool aunt, but she doesn't put as much emotional effort in as I do. So that's the difference. The aunt with the boring kids does put a lot of effort into Zoe, but she's known as cool. So I have the cool and the effort.
The boring kids. What a thing to say.
Well, yeah, Zoe has multiple aunts, and I clarify who they are to them by like the one that has the boring kids. Then there's the other one that has the split hair with no kids, and then there's Rowan, and then there's me. And I make slime, right? And I take her to Disneyland, right? And we play games and all sorts of stuff. And I'm going to tell you this. This is how you know I'm her favorite aunt. I'm going to give you this is all. If you know children, this is all you need to know. Her current favorite game to play with her mom is that she pretends that she is Aunt Sasha and her mom is Grandma, and it's Aunt Sasha's birthday and Grandma's coming to check on her. So that is how we know. So she goes, we'll play Aunt Sasha's birthday. That's the game she plays when I'm not there. I was like, I won this one. Yeah, that's all you need to know. When you're a 3-year-old, that's how you tell people what your favorite things are, what you play in imaginary time. Yes, it's good. It's good. I won this one.
Does she have imaginary friends?
She does not have imaginary friends, but she has a lot of like imaginary playtime games. She does very good like story, like setting the story of what's going on games.
So she doesn't have imaginary people she talks to?
No, she doesn't.
That's pretty common.
I didn't and Catherine didn't.
Oh.
But we definitely did the like, okay, here's the story, let's play this game.
My little sister had full conversations
Yeah, I know.
with multiple people in the room that weren't there.
When Zoe was little, she used to say, that's really funny, Becca. She used to say, like, when we're talking like 1.5, she used to like look at things and go, oh, hi there. And we were like, huh, weird. But she definitely grew out of that really fast. When Zoe was little, yeah. Well, you laugh, Tressa, but she's not so small. Catherine produces giant children. These kids are huge. Humongous monster children.
Monster.
How does Catherine feel about being your mom? That's a funny point, Shelley. We have had discussions about that, but I will tell you, sometimes Zoe lets her turn the roles around, and sometimes Zoe will play Grandma Doctor, and Catherine will get to play Aunt Sasha. So she doesn't always have to be Grandma, which is nice. But it's always Grandma Doctor. It's not just Grandma, because she has two grandmas, so she clarifies them by which one's Grandma Doctor and the other one is just Grandma. And Zoe has a Doc McStuffins costume that she wears when she's playing Grandma Doctor, and she is Grandma Doctor. So, yeah. It's not Dr. Grandma, which would be the grammatically appropriate way to say it. It's Grandma Doctor. So, you know, we all do what we have to do. Luigi wants to take me to school for show and tell. That's amazing. You have to do it. Destiny, you have to do it. Oh my gosh, if Zoe says that when she goes to school, I will drive all the way down there just for the 3 minutes that she has to do that. Absolutely do it.
Do what?
Destiny's nephew wants to, well, cousin, but nephew, whatever, wants to take her for show and tell to school.
That's cute.
I think it's adorable. He's Italian, and so she's like his American, like, special, you know, aunt. And I think that's adorable. The car, I think the car is a 2018 car. I don't know. I didn't buy it, so I'd have to check this up. It was my brother and sister's dad's before it was mine, so I'm not sure. I hope my nephew wants that someday, right? If either Zoe or Ethan are like, hey, Aunt Sasha, can I take you to show and tell because you're a slime maker? I'll be like, yes, of course. And I'll bring slime for the whole class. And you will have the best show and tell. Or maybe because I'm an author, and then I will bring books for them to give to their parents.
Wait, what?
Well, I was going to bring slime if I was going to show and tell. Give all the kids a little mini slime.
Give the kids a book. Like, time to learn to read.
Time to learn to read. I mean, it's not an inappropriate book. There's nothing bad in it.
Except for the monarchy.
Except for the monarchy. Can you come to show and tell at my school? Grace, if your school is willing to pay for the plane ticket, I will come to show and tell at your school, because technically what I do is science. It's not plant science, but it is science. So
This is loosely.
it's loosely related. Bring slime and books. Got it. Got it. Should we show them? Should we show just this small group of people a preview of the book cover, or should we wait?
Yeah, sure.
Do you guys want to see the book cover? Do you guys want to be the first ones to see it? It's very cool. It's very cool. Very cool. You can come all the way to right here before you are visible. This
Yeah,
line
just
straight
kinda
up.
hand you the thing.
It's very neato.
Make sure it's rotated.
It looks super legit. We're just working on sizing, you know, like with the pages and everything, but other than that, it's pretty close to done. Wow, it's so cool. This is what it looks like. It's backwards to you guys, obviously, but it is a legit book cover. I wonder how I can.
Probably zoom in.
Like, don't come over here, because yeah, I'll zoom in on this part so they can see. I'll zoom in on just the front cover so you guys can see that. It's so beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool Easter eggs on it too, that I will let you guys pick out. I know, it's so good, right? They're like freaking out. I told you they were gonna love it. Yeah, it's really, really nice. There's all sorts of funny little things. Like, okay, do you guys remember our conversation about the novel thing? On the side of it, he wrote, "This is a novel. Apparently you have to say that." Which, and he was like, "We don't have to say the sarcastic cry." I was like, "Yes, we do. Of course we do. We're leaving it like that." And I thought that was hilarious. And this is the prince. This is what he looks like, in case you guys want to see what he looks like. That's him. This is Emma and her umbrella. All zoomed in on her. Yeah, this is my NaNoWriMo book. Yeah. Most of you don't know what this means yet, but for the two of you who do know what this means, that's the umbrella parade. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, umbrella parade. See, very exciting, right? So fun. And the wishing boats, that's right. See, you guys know. Yeah, we put it all in there. And for those of you who know, there's one little pink umbrella. Just one little tiny pink umbrella. Ava, because he does not do social media, so he will not be shown on here. It's all on the cover. There's all sorts of fun stuff. And for those of you who know about the quote that I have on the back from my sister, Secret Boyfriend found like old-timey maps from like a long time ago that have like weird dragon drawings. So he made his own version of one of those weird dragon drawings and put the little dragons on the map of Oregon, because like in old-timey times they would put a dragon where they like were like, "Don't know what's over there." And so we put that same little dragon next to her quote. And so in case you guys don't know, my sister only reads fantasy. And the quote that she said when she read my book, which is now on the back of the cover, was, "I'm struggling because there's no magic or dragons, but it's funny and very well written." And I was like, okay. And so you put a little... he has not decided how he's going to be credited yet. He gets to choose his own credit on his work. He's going to sign it for sure. How he's going to sign it is completely up to him. I will not dictate how he does it. But he is, in my author bio, he is referred to as Secret Boyfriend. Yes. But as far as the rest of it goes, he can choose that. Yeah, maybe initials. That's fair. Yeah, that's a good point, Becca. Maybe initials. Great question, Alex. I'm liking Fourth Wing so far. I think it's good. I'm into it. I'm already 4 or 5 chapters in. I don't know how many. But I like it, and I think it's well written, and it's in an easy style to read compared to most fantasy. I think that if more fantasy was written in this voice, you know what, Alyssa, let me get a little further in before I really give you more info, because right now it's still very much the setup time, but I like the voice that it's written in. And I think if I had to say, the reason that she is given permission to write it this way is because in the beginning of the book, there's a whole page that talks about, like a blurb that talks about how it's been translated from their language to modern English so that readers can read it, which is funny. And you laugh when you read that, but it does make it easier to read, right? Because she wrote it in plain modern day English rather than making it like old-timey fantasy sounding. And it's good. I'm glad she did it. I like it. It's good. So I'm gonna give her, smoothie dance time, but I'm gonna give her an A+ for that choice. And so far I'm into it. I have no problem with it, but let's smoothie. Yeah, I like it so far. Ta-da! Smoothie dance. So let's get to reading, because there's plenty of work to do today, despite the fact that all the orders are packed. And I think we have Roll for Slime tonight. Is that right? Oh, is the whole series not out, Nikki? I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that when I picked it up. So I guess it's good that I didn't know, because... That's funny. Yeah, I think there is AD tonight. I think we have After Dark tonight. Although, I will tell you guys, I think I poorly scheduled After Dark around the time that Bachelor is on for the East Coast. So I think I might change the time to be slightly earlier so that East Coast people who want to watch The Bachelor don't have to choose between After Dark and The Bachelor. Because that's not nice. I wouldn't do that to you guys. Yeah, no, I wouldn't make them do that. That's not fair. I have another imposter syndrome today. I need this break. Oh no, that's not good. You're welcome, Liz. Happy to be here for you. I understand. Yeah. No, so I'll change that later. It is a good season so far. Yeah. So I wouldn't make you guys choose. That's not fair. It's fine for West Coast people because I was like, oh, 5 o'clock NBD, but All right. So for those of you who don't remember, people keep asking you to make slime without glue or activator. Oh yeah, no, you can't make slime without glue or activator. We know that game. I will, Nikki. I'm going to post a thing about it saying that I'm changing the time and why and everything. Or maybe I'll just see if people want to have it tomorrow instead so that we don't have to worry at all about running into the time.
You can make slime without glue or activator.
No, you cannot.
Just let mold grow.
Gross! Secret boyfriend, you know how I feel about mold.
Same. You can make slime like
Did you
things.
put the straw in yours instead of mine?
I was mixing mine. Okay.
Yes, arbitrary canary, but for very, very specific circumstances.
I need to rinse off the straw first.
Why?
Because I mixed in the stuff that you can't have.
Oh. That's a good reason. Thanks. All right, so for those of you who don't know, we're actually in the middle of a chapter because the chapter we started last time was too long and I was in the middle of packing orders. So we're going to finish that chapter today, right now, and we will read the poem that goes with that. All right, so I will go back a couple sentences to remind us where we were. And in case anyone wasn't here, the name of this chapter, thank you so much. Oh, sorry, hold on, give me 1 second, I'll grab it. This chapter was called God Must Have Spent a Little Less Time on Me. Thank you for making the smoothie, it was very kind of you. Of course. All right, so I guess I can only speak for myself, but maybe I'm the worst, and I sure as hell could not be trusted with this kind of tea. I'd remember every damn detail of a random person's strangely specific tale of heavy petting, recreational drug use, or routine pornography habits. Yikes. Harsh, corn. Harsh. I tried to figure out which girl or guy in the room they hooked up with, which drug they were talking about based on the descriptions I learned in DARE, and wondered if glancing at body parts every now and again in between TV static on Skinamax was something I could position as an edgy tripwire in my walk with Christ. In retrospect, it's beyond horrible to treat this as casual fodder, and I shouldn't even joke about it. But it was the adults in the room who would comfortably allow minors to feel ashamed and dirty for their consensual curiosities by feigning a safe space for them to confess their private lives to the group as a form of testimony. It wasn't a safe space at all, and their private details were made into needless, shameful centerpiece so that their peers could dine on their despair. Obviously, this still goes on and is not limited to the church. I've seen this type of forced public sharing under the guise of a safe space in all sorts of environments that benefit from shared trauma and groupthink, from self-help large format trainings to MLM conferences to sorority pledge retreats. Hot tip. If you notice senior leadership manufacturing connection amongst strangers via confessions, run. It's not a community building, it's trauma bonding. Fact. Sometimes I still lie awake at night worrying and deep down knowing that there must have been young women in those circles who weren't provided the distinction of how this concept of their purity was completely and utterly inapplicable to the situations that were non-consensual and involving sexual assault. I never remember anyone making that distinction, which is shocking because it seems like consent is the single most important thing you should clarify to a group of young women and men. I'm horrified by the thought that they believe they did something wrong or that something was taken from them. I'm horrified that any well-meaning adult would allow a person to feel at fault for something that has nothing to do with matters that are spiritual and everything to do with behavior that is criminal. I'm horrified if I ever sat in a circle and let a young woman cry in shame about perfectly normal and healthy exploration. And I'm horrified thinking about not noticing a young person struggling with gender identity or their sexuality and how it must have felt at an early age when you're getting to know yourself as a person while simultaneously hearing messaging reinforcing how you will never be accepted as that person. Now I see the irony of going into a youth group one day after another and we all look like each other and talk about loving one another while making people who weren't like us feel not loved but othered. The way I understood
All the related acts had nothing to do with a loving interaction, mutual pleasure, or a deeper connection. It was a weapon, a pawn, a shameful act, or a first-class ticket to the devil's tanning bed. Well, I got in trouble for offering support to it. Yeah, of course. I completely believe that, Becca. The alleged uncontrollable nature of a male's desire and my responsibility as a woman to control it is rooted in my understanding for avoidance or secrecy, and completely overlooked any education or information about what would happen if I wanted to participate safely somewhere in the middle. I'm not sure why I internalized this so intensely. I found it depends on the person. I know people who attend these places with me and didn't take it that seriously. And I have friends who are in therapy to this day talking about how purity culture infiltrates their healthy marriages. And I don't even know where to place these thoughts because I'm the one who elected to go and keep going. And I'm not sure I fully understood how this impacted me until more recent years, when I thought back on why I had a hard time adjusting to relationships as an adult. So for any of you who don't know, she was not forced to go to these things by her parents. She elected to go to church and church camp to be with her friends, but her parents did not make her go. So she wasn't like a lot of us that were like indoctrinated into it from home at an early age. She was not like that. Her parents were like, I guess if you want to go to church camp, you can go to church camp. You know what I mean? Like, what a weird thing. That's probably how my poor grandparents were when my mom became religious. They were probably like, I guess. So weird. But it being my choice to participate in the organized group fun doesn't mean as a woman I need to accept the lifelong discomfort and disgust I felt towards my curves, the anxiety I still feel for a low-cut top, the blame I placed on myself because I wore one when I was aggressively sexually assaulted by a bouncer at a bar a few years ago and then couldn't report him because he literally was the security you report to. It doesn't mean I needed to be objectified in a way that subliminally taught me to seek male validation instead of romantic love, or the internalized deep-seated belief that took me years to shake about sex being inherently bad or dirty. It doesn't mean that I needed to weather years of toxic and reckless casual hookups that I didn't want, but without a sense of what is normal. I had to find out through experience. Looking back, it's not that I wish I had more experiences. My issue is that I worried I missed out on accurate information that would have empowered me as a young woman to pursue intimacy safely with self-respect, boundaries, and standards. While this is how I reflect on it decades later, it's hard to explain that at the time these conversations felt normal. You get used to the style of speech that alludes to being It alludes to you being a broken sinner in need of saving, and it wears you down and makes you crave being built back up, creating an illusion of netting positive. It's tried and true formula for preying on the vulnerable. When you're told by a critical mass of allegedly divine adults that this is what's right, at a time when you have no real life experience, there aren't any red flags waving. You're told that the pearly gates are opening, and if anyone says otherwise, we're told we should feel sorry for their soul, not listen to their well-meaning criticism. My friends and I didn't talk about how weird it all was until recent years when we gained life experience outside of our previously homogenous environments and took inventory of some of the undeniable baggage, though we mostly agreed that it's a both-and situation. It was fun and problematic. It's a confusing spectrum for your memories to operate within, and I've learned what someone takes away will fall anywhere on the spectrum depending on their perspective. Despite all of these things I just detailed, they aren't what inspired me to leave. My disengagement with church-related activities has to do with an event called See You at the Pole, SYATP. At the megachurch I admittedly only dabbled in, there was a lot of talk about religious persecution, and SYATP was spoken about as everyone's big chance to witness their peers and be loud and proud about their walk with Christ in ways that they'd potentially be ridiculed for at school. I don't deny that there can be an embarrassment and harassment involved with being vocal about your beliefs. We got called the prudies on a regular basis for our lack of sexual activity. But back then, I think I knew better than to believe I was doing something noble or brave by outing myself as a Christian in Central Virginia. But attending this event was positioned as a big deal in proving your commitment to Christ was real. And I knew it would be used as a barometer for endless judgment by peers and youth leaders, so I had to go. The morning of SYATP, my mom turned on the lamp in my room while it was still dark out, and I laid curled up in the corner of my daybed, realizing I'd had enough. I went back to sleep. I felt like an out-of-body moment of confidence, as if I was someone else, but looking back, this was the moment I was being most myself. That was the authentic me in the corner. That was me in the lamplight, losing my religion. Very funny. That is in my religion. In case any of you didn't know, that is the song that Anthony Rapp sang at his first audition for Rent and has completely changed all of our lives as a result. That's real. Not because I had a spiritual epiphany, but because SYATP started at 7 a.m. and that was simply too much to ask of me. You can take my self-worth, my faith, my salvation, my dignity. You can cruelly dangle me for 45 feet in the air from a rock climbing wall until I recite scripture verbatim, true story. And you can even take my watch-wearing future spouse or my slow downs to one of NSYNC's finest, but for the love of God, you cannot ask me to wake up too early. That is where I draw the line. And just like that, I pull a fiber that ended up unraveling the whole operation, though I'm not sure I realized it at the time. It was the first time that I placed my needs over the pressure I felt to be a good Christian, and it just so happens that I physiologically lacked interest in any early rise in ways that my body was finally prioritizing above my spirit. After that, I started attending these things less, getting comfortable disappointing people, and realizing the things that didn't line up with my instincts weren't existential crises or panic attacks. They were my gut trying to take the wheel away from Jesus, who can't even drive a car, by the way. I also quit my serious volleyball team and put sun in my hair and got a job at California Pizza Kitchen to afford flammable fast fashions. My new free time allowed me to make friends and party with boys and dabble in less wholesome teenage activities. Sadly, the church's influence didn't stop there. The things I internalized during this time would creep back into my mind anytime I was in a vulnerable position. Its deep roots in my psyche would continue to be a source of tension throughout my life. It surprises me how these internalized beliefs pop up to this day and reminds me of a common phrase I often heard back then that I've always had an issue with. We plan, God laughs. With all due, wouldn't that make Sky Daddy kind of rude? Because it makes God a fellow subscriber of Amelia Bedelia Core, misunderstanding our requests and making the opposite happen for comedic effect. But it applies here because I planned to leave this era of my life behind, but God continued to be like, LOL, you'll be unpacking this camp duffel for decades. Oh God, it's true. The point is, when you're taught to tie your actions, appearance, or sexuality to your self-worth or the fate of your soul at a young age, even when you're past intellectually believing in it, you don't lose the shelving that holds on to guilt and shame. Who would have thought that when I felt the wind in my hair on the lake, decades later, I'd still be dealing with what this phase of life left in its wake? After all these words I've shared, I suppose it's pretty anticlimactic that I lost my religion because I wanted to sleep in, but it tracks with how easily it started with water sports and then was sustained by live music and my curiosity for pulling off the mega holy, mega hottie persona. I think the broader metaphor of sleeping in is that I was simply exhausted, and many things had led me up to this point, but I appreciated that it ended with this little depth as it started, skiing on the surface of my shallow needs. As troubling as a lot of my memories are, the high points remind me that despite all the manipulation, guilt, and fear and confession, I was always true to my core self. I love getting invited on boats, I love live music, and I love to sleep in. This is my Trinity. Welcome to my church. It's incredibly hard to criticize something that seems so pleasant on the outside. It's difficult to get through to people when they believe they're doing the right thing. I behaved the same way when I held it as the truth. I get it. I genuinely have empathy for how people can be both victims and perpetrators of harmful beliefs in these circumstances, and there's a spectrum of helpful to harmful. I'm glad I stayed out of trouble, but I'm not sure I needed to be tricked into making good decisions. The impressionability of youth is one of the reasons I'm so hung up on this period of time in my life, because in many ways I feel robbed of the opportunity to nurture my own instincts prior to the interception of religious moralism by a handful of random adults who weren't even my parents or trusted mentors. They were people like my 19-year-old water ski instructor or my 21-year-old counselor in the girls' cabin. This is wild to have your frontal lobe be developed in these contexts by other people who are still so underdeveloped that their narrow perspective is the very thing that gives them the false entitlement to do so. Sources of influence matter. In my experience, they need to be examined closely, no matter how unassuming or benevolent they appear. And nothing seems more well-meaning than church-adjacent activities that keep teenagers out of trouble. While I still continue to struggle with how to process and talk about my religious experience, in productive ways. The most important thing to me is being loud about the subtle ways religious groups can manipulate people into believing they have the right to deny other people their basic rights or personal autonomy. Over their reproductive choices, over who they marry, over dismantling the system embedded in racial or gender-based oppression, to name a few. Theocratic values sneakily infiltrate our lawmaking action often, and it's important to know what to look out for because, like camp, it can appear subtle and seem well-meaning in theory, but actually be designed to oppress and control people at every turn. At my church of snooze-in boats and live music, we believe God spent an equal amount of time on all of us, and we don't claim he hates the people he creates. We trust people to know what's best for them because they know themselves better than our judgment ever will. I won't ask you to come meet me at the pole, but I do hope that we can continue to support people, policies, and institutions that promote true mutual religious freedom, the kind that protects your right to worship and your religion as much as it protects others from being oppressed by it. I may never see you at the poll, but these experiences will forever make you see me at the polls, voting out people who have the audacity to think that their religious beliefs should impede upon others' rights and autonomy. Eventually, I tried to stop asking questions about all the ways I wasn't worth the time in God's eyes, and asked myself what would happen if I spent a little less time on God and a little more time on myself. Not to spite or disobey him, rather to exercise my own version of faith that I think has a lot more to do with this life and finding the source of confidence, connection, and self-expression in the image of a creator, or whatever you want to call it, God, the universe, etc., that is inclusive, compassionate, and empathetic. Because you're not broken, flawed, or undeserving as a human in need of saving. You're just a body. You're a heart and a soul and a spirit, so much bigger than whatever all of this is. And while I don't have the answers, nor the sneaker budget to be preachy, that's honestly what I believe, however lofty it sounds. I'll likely forever be seeking instead of settling into one way of thinking, but maintain that spirituality has a lot more to do with the mutually understood contents of our soul between us and our Creator than it does with controlling our earthly behaviors to appeal to one modern leader's quest for control. The Christianity I was introduced to in my early days was about love and light and watching out for you, and I'll forever hold on to that part that it gives me peace with the Spirit. The kind that cares about leading with love and acceptance and makes me trust a higher power is looking out for me, at least enough to continue flying spirit. Very funny. See you at the pole sounds like a name for a pole fitness class. That's hilarious. So the next section is part 2, which we will obviously read tomorrow, but I will give you a taste of it by reading the poem that goes with it, because that paragraph's too long for us to finish right now. But part 2 is called The 2000s. So we have officially hit the 2000s, friends. And here is the poem that begins the 2000s. I could never fall asleep on the floor, but it was my favorite spot to dream. Still the space where I write late at night, creating a whole new world behind closed doors, over, sideways, and under covers, on a magic wall-to-wall carpet ride through my soul. Learned to navigate my dark places and moods. I came out of my shell where my sidewalk began. My poems turned into a punchline at school. I let them cut me in line for a punch at the dance. Before words with friends, words were friends. I danced my own mental melody without resting. My favorite character on Hey Dude, freaking loved Hey Dude, wanted to live on a ranch for the dressing. It's a little wild and a little strange too. The ground I once used to explore my interest, now a parking lot of pedestals for other opinions. Grounds for sit-ups, breakdowns, and unbroken ceilings. Windows boarded up with mirrors so disorienting. Can I call myself skinny if I'm stretched too thin? Before I got drafted into a war with tyrant, dysmorphic versions of me trapped in a mirror, I used to run and jump and swim and play and row and go on trips and play sports. Did I just plagiarize Salute Your Shorts? The theme song these days I keep humming. It feels coincidental as hell, especially now life feels like a salute to my shortcomings. I once felt strong and befriended. Life felt open-ended. When you're young, they assume you know nothing, but they didn't tell me I already knew who I was. The person deep down wasn't the one who grew up. Sing to me, Paolo. Show them what you're afraid of. Hey now, isn't this what dreams are made of? Paolo, get it? Yeah. Hillary Duff. Anybody? No? Yeah, it's good. So the next chapter that we're going to read tomorrow is called Popular Girl Handwriting. If you know, you know. And I'm sure you all do. It was pretty funny. Okay, so I will, as soon as we get off this live, put up a poll on Patreon to see if people want to have an earlier after dark today, or if they'd rather just move after dark to tomorrow when we can have it at the normal time. And then we can decide what we want to do for tonight. And then I will work on the agenda and making sure that we get Roll for Slimes, the Valentine's Day after dark stuff done tonight or tomorrow night, depending. And that's it. As long as the weather stays kind of like either where it is right now or better, I'm going to take everything to the post office soon. So the rest of the orders will be going to the post office shortly, as long as there's not a flood.
There is a flood.
There is a flood? Between here and the post office?
Maybe.
Ah. I hate that. What do we think this hair is doing? Just this one. Do you think it's supposed to be over here? I think that's the problem. Yeah, it's the length of my bangs. I don't know what it was doing over there. Wrong side. No time to build an arc. Yeah, no time to build an arc. It's doing whatever it wants. All right, I will see you all later. Look for the poll in literally like 3 minutes. Bye, guys.